What's up, Lakers fans? Buckle up because today's update is a wild one. We're diving deep into one of the biggest ongoing stories in the league right now. The whole situation surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo and how his future could end up shaking the NBA to its core. There's been so much talk, so many rumors, and honestly, a lot of confusion about what's really going on with him and the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's break this down and talk about how it could connect to the Lakers, because yeah, the purple and gold might have a part to play in all of this. So first off, let's address the elephant in the room. Ever since last offseason, people have been speculating that Giannis could be on the move. There were whispers that he was unhappy, that he might want out, that the Bucks weren't doing enough to keep him motivated to stay long-term. But here's the thing. As of right now, Giannis is still in Milwaukee. He hasn't demanded a trade. He hasn't caused a scene. But he's also been pretty honest about where he stands. He said it before, if the Bucks aren't serious about competing for championships, he's not going to waste his prime there. That's not a direct threat, but it's definitely a warning. And you know what's interesting? The Bucks have been doing everything they can to keep him happy. They just signed his younger brother, Alex Antetokounmpo, which means now they've got both of Giannis's brothers on the roster. Yeah, Thanasis and Alex are both officially part of the Bucks organization, and nobody's really making a big deal out of that. Nobody's shouting nepotism or saying the Bucks are wasting roster spots. But when it's LeBron and Bronny James with the Lakers, suddenly everyone loses their minds. It's wild, right? Giannis has two brothers signed to the same team, but nobody bats an eye. Yet Bronny, who's actually shown flashes of becoming a solid rotation player, gets all the criticism. It's almost like the hate only comes when LeBron's name is involved. But back to Giannis. Here's the thing. I don't personally think he gets traded this season. Not because teams wouldn't want him, but because the timing just doesn't make sense. Milwaukee still believes they can compete for a title, and Giannis knows that his leverage will be way higher next offseason. If he decides to ask out a year from now, he'll be entering the final stretch of his contract, which gives him much more control over where he goes and what kind of trade package makes sense. Right now, if he were to request a trade, the Bucks could still command an insane haul. We're talking multiple first-round picks, young stars, the whole deal, because a team trading for him would get at least 2 seasons of Giannis under contract. That's valuable. But if he waits until next offseason, things change. He'd have more say in his destination, and fewer teams would be willing to give up everything for a 1-year rental. That means if Giannis wants to go to a specific team, say the Lakers or the Knicks, it becomes much easier to make it happen, because other teams won't want to risk losing him for nothing after a season. That's how we've seen players like Kawhi Leonard and Donovan Mitchell force their way to specific spots. Now, according to reports, the Knicks have been mentioned as one of Giannis's preferred destinations. It makes sense. New York is a massive market, the team has assets, and they're desperate for a true superstar to lead them. But don't forget, the Lakers have been lurking in these conversations for a long time too. The Lakers have always seen Giannis as the kind of player who could take over the torch after LeBron. There's even been that dream scenario floating around of pairing Giannis with Luka Doncic. Just imagine that for a second. Luka running the offense, Giannis cutting to the rim, the two of them dominating both ends of the floor. It sounds like a video game lineup. And honestly, I kind of get it. Giannis might actually fit better next to Luka than someone like Nikola Jokic would. Luka's not the strongest defender, but Giannis could cover up those weaknesses easily. Giannis has the athleticism, the length, and the defensive presence to make up for whatever Luka lacks. And offensively, Giannis thrives as a finisher, not a creator, which lines up perfectly with Luka's playmaking. So from a basketball standpoint, it's a match made in heaven. But let's bring this back to reality for a second. Even though the Lakers are often mentioned as a potential destination for Giannis, pulling that trade off this season would be next to impossible. They just don't have the pieces to make it work right now. They can't trade away LeBron because of his no-trade clause, and there's no universe where the team would consider moving Luka. The Bucks wouldn't take a deal built around Austin Reeves and a few future firsts. That's just not enough value for a player like Giannis. It's a fun thought, but it's not realistic yet. However, the conversation changes dramatically next offseason. In the summer of 2026, the Lakers will finally have 3 tradable first-round picks and 3 pick swaps available. That's when they can actually make a serious offer. Think about that. 6 total draft assets, plus players like Austin Reeves, maybe a young talent like Jalen Hood-Schifino, or someone they could sign and trade. That's the kind of package that starts getting teams' attention. And by then, Giannis might be ready to make a move himself. So the timing lines up perfectly. The Lakers would have flexibility, the assets, and the salary space to pull it off. And if Giannis decides he wants Los Angeles, if he really says, that's where I want to go, it changes everything. Because once a superstar makes it clear he only wants to go to one team, that team instantly gains the leverage. We've seen it happen over and over, from Anthony Davis to Damian Lillard to even Paul George back in the day. Once a player starts naming specific teams, the market shrinks, and the preferred destination suddenly has the upper hand. And the thing is, Giannis has already shown interest in big markets. That's been a theme for years. He said he loves the small-town loyalty of Milwaukee, but he's also aware of the opportunities that come with being in a massive market like Los Angeles or New York. The endorsements, the spotlight, the global platform, it's all bigger on those stages. And for a guy who's already accomplished nearly everything in Milwaukee, multiple MVPs, a championship, finals MVP, maybe the next step in his career is about legacy and longevity. Maybe he wants to build something new in a bigger city. That's why the Lakers are watching this situation closely. They don't need to rush anything. They just need to be patient, stay competitive, and be ready when the time comes. Because if Giannis really starts to look around next year, Los Angeles is going to be in the mix whether people like it or not. Milwaukee's position isn't easy either. They're in win-now mode. They can't afford to blow things up and rebuild because they don't own all their future draft picks. So if Giannis ever did ask out, they need to get real players back, not just picks and prospects. They need a package that keeps them somewhat relevant, something like multiple quality starters or a young star they can build around. That's what makes a potential Lakers trade so interesting. The Lakers could offer young players like Reeves and still have draft flexibility to sweeten the deal. So while a trade this season seems far-fetched, next summer is a whole different story. The Lakers would have the tools, Giannis would have the leverage, and the league would have a full-blown power shift on its hands. And let's be real, if there's any organization that finds a way to pull off the impossible, it's the Los Angeles Lakers. They've done it before with Shaq, with Pau Gasol, with Anthony Davis. When superstars want to wear purple and gold, somehow it just happens. Now, of course, all of this depends on Giannis's mindset. Does he really want to stay loyal to Milwaukee forever? Or does he want to test himself in a new environment, in a bigger market, with a new challenge? That's the million-dollar question right now. Because one way or another, whatever decision Giannis makes is going to send shockwaves through the league. Now, here's where things start to get really intriguing, because the more you think about it, the more you realize how perfectly all the timing could line up for the Lakers and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks are in a tough position. They can't afford to lose him for nothing, and yet, if he gives any hint that he's thinking about leaving, the front office will have to at least listen to offers. That's how the modern NBA works. You don't wait for a superstar to walk out the door in free agency. You trade him before that happens so you can get something in return. The question is, what kind of return would make sense for Milwaukee? If Giannis ever does reach that point where he says, I'm ready for a new chapter, the Bucks will want real players back, not just future picks. They need guys who can help them stay relevant, keep fans in the seats, and give them a foundation to build around. Because they're not a team built for a long-term rebuild. They don't control enough of their future draft picks to tank, so blowing everything up isn't a realistic option. That means any Giannis trade would have to bring back legitimate NBA talent. Maybe not a superstar, but several solid young players who can grow together. That's what makes the Lakers such a wild card. Right now, the Lakers can't compete with the Knicks or other teams in terms of trade assets. The Knicks have a mountain of first-round picks and young pieces like R.J. Barrett, Miles McBride, and possibly Mitchell Robinson or Julius Randle if they need salary filler. But give it another year, and the Lakers' situation changes completely. By next offseason, Los Angeles will have 3 first-round picks available to trade and 3 potential pick swaps. That's 6 draft assets in total, enough to make almost any front office at least pick up the phone. Add in players like Austin Reeves, who continues to develop into a reliable two-way threat, and someone like Rui Hachimura, or even Jalen Hood-Schifino, and suddenly that package starts to look competitive. And here's the thing. It's not just about assets. It's about preference. Stars today care a lot about where they go. They don't just want to get traded anywhere. They want to control their destination, their market, and their brand. That's why this whole Giannis to the Knicks idea might not be as locked in as some people think. Yeah, New York has the resources, but does Giannis really want to live in that media circus? He's always been a quiet guy, focused on basketball. Los Angeles might make more sense. The lifestyle, the championship history, the connection with other stars. It's a big market without quite the same level of chaos that New York brings. And then there's the LeBron factor. Nobody knows exactly how many years LeBron has left, but the Lakers are already thinking about what comes next. They want a new face of the franchise, someone who can carry the torch after LeBron eventually hangs it up. Giannis would be the perfect bridge into that next era. He's already proven he can lead a team to a title. He's one of the best two-way players on the planet, and he's still young enough to dominate for years. You put him in Los Angeles with the right supporting cast, and that's an instant contender. It's also worth mentioning how much the league changes once a player of Giannis's caliber becomes available. Every general manager starts running the numbers, trying to figure out what they can offer, what contracts they can move, how they can clear space. But only a few teams ever really have a shot. You need cap flexibility, draft capital, and a situation that makes sense for the star. And by next offseason, the Lakers will check every one of those boxes. They'll have the assets, they'll have the cap room, and they'll have the brand appeal that few franchises can match. The Bucks, meanwhile, will have to walk a fine line. Trading Giannis would mean resetting their identity, but doing it in a way that doesn't destroy their competitiveness. If they could get someone like Austin Reeves, a player who could realistically grow into an all-star in a larger role, plus multiple picks and maybe a few expiring contracts to create future flexibility, that's not a terrible outcome. It's not equal value for Giannis because no trade ever is, but it's a way to stay relevant and prepare for the next chapter. Of course, all of this is hypothetical, and a lot depends on what happens this season. If the Bucks come out strong, if Damian Lillard stays healthy, and if the team clicks the way they hoped when they made that blockbuster trade, Giannis might not have any reason to leave. Winning fixes everything. But if Milwaukee struggles again, if they fall short in the playoffs, and if Giannis starts to feel like the window is closing, then the conversation changes fast. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, Los Angeles is buzzing with excitement, whispers, and not-so-hidden rumors tonight as the city reportedly welcomes one of basketball's brightest stars to the Lakers. Sources close to the team hint that Kevin Durant, the prolific scorer and two-time NBA Finals MVP, has landed in LA, and the energy around this move is nothing short of electric. Social media is exploding with speculations, fan reactions, and the kind of chatter that makes every sports bar feel like a live press conference. Eyewitnesses say Durant arrived at the Lakers training facility amid what looked like a small parade of supporters. Music, flashes from cameras, and a crowd that could only be described as ecstatic. While official statements remain scarce, insiders suggest the Lakers management is quietly orchestrating a deal that could reshape the NBA landscape. Rumors swirl about potential teammates greeting him with high fives and playful banter, hinting that the locker room chemistry might already be forming before a single contract is signed. Analysts and commentators are already debating the implications. Could this move catapult the Lakers back into championship contention? Or is it another high-profile addition meant to electrify the fan base while the team figures out its long-term strategy? The chatter doesn't stop there. Some suggest Durant's arrival might spark a chain reaction of trades and signings across the league, each one connected to this seismic Lakers development. Fans, naturally, are divided between disbelief and elation. Lakers loyalists are flooding social media with messages like, KD in purple and gold? Dream come true, while skeptics caution that rumors rarely capture the full story. Regardless, the excitement is palpable. From local cafes to downtown billboards, everyone seems to be asking the same question. Is Kevin Durant really here to stay, or is this just the beginning of another Hollywood-style basketball saga? As the night unfolds, the Lakers organization remains tight-lipped, only fueling the speculation. But one thing is clear. If these whispers are true, Los Angeles might just have witnessed the start of a new era, and the city is ready to celebrate in style. Stay tuned, because in LA, when Durant comes to town, the story is never short on drama. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video,